G'day jabronis, it is Averd back with you again, and welcome here to our team builder for week 2 of the MBA. Your Tampa Bay Frogadiers are up against the Pittsburgh Naganadel, coached by Squaw, SKWA, I assume it's Squaw, but a very, very scary team as you can see in the matchup. Just going to break this team down pretty quickly, kind of pressed for time. I'm literally doing this team builder right before I'm going to play him, so kind of just want to get it over and done with and smashed out. But the theme for this week, I suppose, is bulky offense. I was looking at the matchup, and it's really tricky because we both have like just really good nukes against each other's teams, and trying to prepare on how to deal with them, and then also get advantage in the game was really tricky. But I feel like I've been able to find a good blend between that, and I feel pretty confident with this team going into it. So if you guys are hyped for this game like I am, do all the things you normally do. But we're going to break this team down. So first and foremost, Zygarde is a huge asset to this team. I was tossing up between Coil and D-Dance on this variant, but I like the premise of Coil, as after one Coil, Adamant Mimikyu can knock 2 at KO and I do like 65 to 70 with a no investment arrows. But the thing is more that because I'm running the ground EMZ, it means that I can get to +1, I can go for arrows to break through the Mimikyu. Obviously the fear, like I was doing the calcs before, I have it pulled up here. If he's like an adamant +2 Mimikyu, then play rough does 80.5% max to me. So obviously I can arrows as he SDs, he can attack me, and then I can just drop the Z 1000 arrows and just Oko the Mimikyu. So that's huge. That's really big. Mimikyu, to me, is one of the biggest threats on his team because it's really hard for me to effectively bust its disguise without something taking a huge chunk. But I feel like his best chance of bringing it in is against the Zygarde. So I kind of wanted a way to kind of countermeasure that, and Coil is really nice. There's also this set kind of 1v1s a lot of the checks that would be to Zygarde. For instance, like Umbreon, if you brought like a defensive variant with Foul Play, with the investment that I have, Foul Play is doing less than 25%, so I can easily set up to +6 and then just spam arrows against the Umbreon, which is fine. Running the Rest Sleep Talk variant over anything else because I like the longevity that it gives my Zygarde. It's just really good at being able to just eat up hits. It can be a really nice pivot against a lot of my opponent's team. The bulk is really important too, so the speed that I have there is to outspeed Metagross, and it also outspeeds, there was a Mon, it outspeeds something that's with a modest nature. It's really important. I'm trying to remember it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is a Mon on his team where if it runs a modest nature, I will outspeed it with this Zygarde variant. And it's just like 1000 arrows against his team is just so spammable. Like, yeah, he has a Torterra, but I could effectively set up to +6 against Torterra, and he can't really do much to me in return. And plus, I have like lots of switches to Torterra, like especially Bulu just comes in for free. So does Gallade to an extent. So not really that fussed with Torterra, and if he brings it, it's like one less threat that I have to deal with, so I'm kind of okay with that, if that makes sense. But Zygarde's huge in this game, man. It can just bust through his team very, very quickly, and like I said, the Z arrows to be able to knock out the Mimikyu is going to be huge in this game, as if he can't net the kill with another Mon on the next turn, like say he goes to the play rough and he is actually Jolly and does like 75% max, and the next Mon that comes in can't secure the kill, I can bring in Zygarde another turn, like I said, against the Umbreon, and get off that rest, which is massive in this matchup. But moving on, we've got Volcarona here. This is actually my designated lead for this game. It seems like a really, really weird set, because it is, and I'm very much tossing up right now on whether I want to run Roost or if I want to run Giga Drain again, because both are very tempting in this matchup. Giga Drain, obviously the reason why it's so nice is for the Keldeo, to be able to bop that thing, but at the same time Bug Buzz has a good chunk, and because I have the HP investment and I'm going to be quivering up, there's not a whole lot that Keldeo can do against me, which is really, really nice. If he tries to sub, I have the Bug Buzz to go through it. Bug Buzz plus Flamethrower basically covers the majority of my opponent's team, barring that Keldeo that I mentioned, but I feel like he'll be wary about bringing Keldeo in against Volcarona, kind of like last week how I felt like my opponent would be considering of, the potential Volcarona has and not bringing in things like Latios against it. But the main premise is that this can kind of lead against anything my opponent wants to lead with, and be really strong against it, especially the Crobat. The main reason I have the Coberry is for like offensive Crobat. Obviously I get the Flame Body chance against it. If I Flame Body the Crobat, then this thing just like walls Crobat to the end of Earth and back. I've got enough speed investment so that after I get to +1 I outspeed Zeraora. And the combination of Flamethrower and Bug Buzz, like I said, just really puts in work against this team. If I burn things, that I can just get clean roosts off, and it can be a really disruptive set actually for my opponent. Can lure a lot of things in, get a few kills. The main premise of the set though, like I said, is to kind of lure in the Crobat. I can go for the Quiver, let him attack me. I can go for like either one Flamethrower or even two, depending on, you know, if I outspeed or if he is Scarfed, you know, playing around that. But definitely going to be a really solid set in this matchup. It can actually put in a lot of work against a lot of his mons, so I'm pretty excited to use it. Main wall breaker, I suppose, of the team, in a way, is this Greninja set. It's a bit of an odd variant, running enough speed to creep the Latios, because I can't outspeed the Zeraora, but I'm running a bit of an odd little move set, so no water move, although he does have a few mons that technically the water move could be good against. I find that Dark Pulse is super spammable in this matchup. It's just so free a lot of the time to use, and then Extra Sensory is just kind of there for the Keldeo. I like that more than Hidden Power Grass, because although Hidden Power Grass can be nice in grassy terrain, that is, you know, a very unlikely event happening, whereas Extra Sensory is guaranteed doing, you know, 160 base power damage to that Keldeo, which is huge. I have Spikes on there because Spike Stacking can be really nice in this matchup. There are situations where, for instance, I can go for Dark Pulse and he might go hard out to Umbreon, and I can proceed to go for Taunt on the Umbreon to basically shut that thing down, and then go for a free Spike on the next turn if he wants to try and stay in and attack me. And I can just Spike Stack and really disrupt him, because he does have the Defogger in his Crobat, but at the same time, the way that my team is orientated, like, everything can kind of smack up Crobat on that turn, so it's a huge risk for him to try and defog on a turn, so it puts a lot of pressure on his team, which is really nice. Not running the T-Spikes because I just felt that the regular Spikes would be a bit more effective in this matchup, given that, like I said, I want Flame Body Crobat to put in some work, and just the regular Spikes can be so disruptive here. And the rest of the investment's just in defense to be able to take, you know, a few more hits from like Metagross and whatnot if need be, and really put pressure on his team that way. Next up is a nice mixed bulk Bulu. Ooh, I think the Zygarde was creeping Modest Arcanine. I think. I can't remember. No, it's creeping something that's based 90 on his team. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, Bulu is here. It's a really solid set actually, this Bulu this week. I really wanted to run Synthesis, but like the Volcarona, I decided that Horn Leech, you know, in grassy terrain is going to be good enough recovery most of the time, and I really want a Brutal Swing, so this thing can also bait in the Metagross. Metagross isn't that big of a deal to my team, it's just more nice for the Gallade and the Nihilego if it's chipped down, and Bulu can achieve that pretty nicely with this bulk up variant as well. Bulu is able to kind of deal with Arcanine and Crobat, which are two of the best Bulu switch-ins that he's got. I can kind of bulk up, and if Crobat comes in, obviously with the Kevia Berry and the investment, I can live either Brave Bird or a Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb being like the worst case scenario, but I can just absolutely tank that with the Kevia and proceed to just click Stone Edge, and then Crobat is no longer checking like anything on my team. And the same with Arcanine, I can just chip that down like for huge damage, and that puts, you know, Volcarona in a really strong position overall. And Brutal Swing, like I said, is just there for that Metagross for the nice chip. But this is very much a pivot set too. It can come in against Keldeo really solidly. If it burns me, it's no big deal. Bulu is just a nice pivot, gets up to terrain, which can be really nice for some other mons in my team, especially the Nihilego. So it's just really effective in that manner. Kind of comes in, tanks hits like the Volcarona can too, and can just be really disruptive. The main, I guess, secondary, I wouldn't even say it's a setup sweeper, is again bulk up Gallade. I really like bulk up in this matchup because of how his like wall breakers and everything else are designed. It's really important to be able to have a bit of thickness behind my Gallade in his in this scenario. As you saw when Gallade was up against the Latios, I think it was a Mega Latios last time, I was able to tank hits because of that investment. And it's going to be huge here too, because obviously I can bulk up, and then like I said, if the Mimikyu comes in, it's behind Disguise, then I wanted my Gallade to be able to take the combination of Play Rough into Shadow Sneak, so I could obviously bulk up, go for, you know, Ice Punch into Zen Headbutt, and then get huge damage off on the Mimikyu and weaken that thing down potentially, and do like plenty of work in that regard. It's also really nice to get the defense boost for Crobat. Like I said, obviously really annoying if you could just go for Brave Bird and do a shit ton of damage, so I want to be able to stop that as soon as possible. The coverage moves of Ice Punch, Drain Punch, and Zen Headbutt basically covers everything on my opponent's team. Gallade is really hard for him to actually stop. He doesn't have a lot of great switch-ins. Like, in order for Mimikyu to stop Gallade, something has to die first, so that's really good for me because, like I said, in this matchup he has so many threats that if I'm able to get a kill on something to allow Mimikyu in, and then I can break the disguise, that opens the door for Zygarde, that opens the door for Greninja, like, everything else the door opens if I break the disguise with something else. So it's a really big factor. It's one of the reasons why I was really tempted to run U-turn over Spikes on Greninja, in case he goes into Mimikyu and I can just U-turn to break the disguise and go from there. It's definitely a 50-50 right now with Greninja if I run U-turn or if I run spikes, because U-turn is very tempting for pivot as well. Like if I go for the taunt on the Umbreon and then can just go straight for a U-turn, it puts a lot of momentum in my favour. And because of that, I am going to run U-turn, because it also will break the Mimikyu. This team is all about trying to break Mimikyu's disguise. Granted, Nihilego and Volcarona, especially Volcarona, can deal with Mimikyu. It's super important to deal with it that way. But Gallade creeping, well, not creeping, it's speed tying with the Latios again, working on that speed tie. But yeah, moving on from that, last mon that we have on the team is Nihilego. So Nihilego is really important in this matchup for a few reasons. One, it is really solid Crobat check in this matchup. If it doesn't bring Natural Gift Ground, I can actually deal with it quite nicely. The main premise of this Nihilego is to come in against things like the Crobat and then set up my rocks, as I feel like Crobat won't want to stay in and risk the Power Gem. He may want to go into his Metagross. I can Stealth Rock into a potential Foul Play turn, because I feel like with Metagross he's more likely to go for his own rocks. So then what I could also do is go hard Volcarona and play around it that way too, and put pressure on. But yeah, that's the whole premise of this Nihilego spread, is to kind of disrupt my opponent in a way. Obviously Volcarona doesn't appreciate rocks going up, but at the same time, if I can keep rocks up on my side, then it's huge, because that really cripples down the Crobat and a lot of the mons on my opponent's team. Foul Play is there, like I said, for the Metagross, to be able to get a huge damage against that thing. It's massive. Power Gems is really good spam, and Dazzling Gleam is there to catch things like the Latios. Oh, Foul Play can hit that too, but it's also to hit the Keldeo. However, now that I think about it, I could be able to hit that too with I could technically hit the Keldeo too with like a Sludge Wave, which could be maybe better in general, potentially in this matchup, looking at what he has. So I might change that to Sludge Wave, just because that will hit the Keldeo still quite hard. Although everything I have now is resisted by Keldeo, because yeah, I did initially have Psychic on here, which might be better, because Psychic is really nice for the combination of Keldeo and Crobat too. I currently have Black Sludge. It doesn't really need the Black Sludge, I just kind of like it for pivoting purposes, if anything. I wanted it to have a nice bit of bulk, and also it has enough investment to where I get Speed Boost, which is actually really nice in this matchup, being able to, you know, start smacking things up left, right, and center. But it's very much a pivot set, just like the Bulu and the Volcarona. So like Bulu, Volcarona, and Nihilego are kind of the pivots, and then you got things like Zygarde, Greninja, and Gallade, which can kind of break through things. Greninja is technically a pivot too, but you kind of get the point. It's all very much a bulky offense kind of style team, with the main idea, I guess, being to just wear things down over time with hazards or just consistent pressure, and then going from there. But I'm very happy with this team. Honestly, I don't know if it's going to work or not. I just feel that it is the best way that I can run this team. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. But yeah, if you guys enjoy this video, obviously you know how it is. Like the video, subscribe, all that good shit. I'm literally about to hop into battle. I'm a bit nervous because I feel like 90% confident with this team. I feel like it's not one of the best teams I've built, but I definitely feel like the balance is there. So we'll have to see how it goes. But my name is Averd. I'm out this video.